Good morning, welcome to Escoffier Online. My name is Chef Caesar. Today I'm going to be showing how to make homemade tofu. Well, this is a two-step process. Before we have to make our soybean milk. Otherwise we can't make cheese, we gotta have milk. So we're going to start with some dry soybeans, and make sure they're like now roasted. They got raw soybeans dry, and we're going to soak them overnight, maybe a couple of days in some just regular cold water, and make sure you rinse them off a couple of times before you let them soak. And you want to kind of drain as much toxins as you can. There might be from some pesticides or even natural recurrent toxins. As you know, most seeds, they produce, natural toxins, and we want to drain this off. And so we have some soaked here. I had them soaking for about a day and a half, so they're nice and puffed up. And now we're going to wash them off really good. I'm going to, drain the batch over here in the sink, and we're going to rinse them off really nice. Run them in some cold water. Now we have our beans drained, and we're going to start by pureeing some of this, beans with some water. And the rule of thumb, you want to use about 1 cup of beans to 3 cups of water. We're going to make a nice cold water is fine. I got my measuring cup here. When I add about 3 cups, and this process to make the milk. Oops, I got to tie this, otherwise it won't work. Okay, I might have to switch to my fruit processor. This seems like it's not going to work. Oops. All right. Well, I got a second. Let's get this out of the way. Blender works much better, but if you got a food processor, it works too, which is nice. Otherwise, I'd be like, leaking water everywhere. Okay, let's start over again here. Okay, so we're gonna do my food processor. Again, we're gonna measure about 1 cup of beans and add some 3 cups of water to make our liquid for the soy milk. Okay. Okay. Be nice if I plug it in too here. This is going to make a clear, like a milky looking liquid once it's liquefied. And once we have it all puree, go for about 3 minutes. You want to make a nice, a nice puree. We're going to put it into a pot to start heating it up. That's, and again, the blender works better. Somehow the seal is broken, so the water's leaking. But if you got a blender at home, I'm sure you do. It works much better. But again, you can also use a food processor like the one I'm using here right now. And you want to let it go until it's nice and puree. And this should make about 2 quarts of milk. You want to use have about 2 quarts of soy milk to start making your tofu. Okay, so you're going to end up with something like this, looking like pretty much like milk. It's really liquidy, nice and white. It's going to be foamy too. So we're going to pour this into my pot over here. I'm going to do another batch. I want to do something different this time. I might want to put as much liquid right away. That way it's going to help in the process. I'm only going to do 1 cup of water this time, because then I can add the water later on. You want to make sure you let it go long enough to liquefy all the beans. There should be a nice liquid puree, not chunky. If you start with the beans with a little water, it works much better, as you can see. Water here for me. Okay, I gotta add one more cup of water to this, remember, so keep the count properly. As you can see, it looks like foamy milk, like making a shake. Okay, so I gotta add one more cup of water over here. And then I'm gonna do one more batch of beans. And you can make as much as you want. I mean, I'm gonna make another batch in a little while, but I'm gonna start with this for right now. And you might be able to buy soy milk, but if you do, make sure it's from a health food store like a Japanese market where they make it fresh. Otherwise, there might be some additives to the soy milk and they might not work for you when you try to make the tofu. But the best way is to get the beans raw and do it from scratch. That way you know it's pure. You don't have anything added to the soy milk. I'm going to let it go a few more minutes because I want to start my pot on over here. It's got to start warming up. Okay, now I'm going to pour this into my pot over here. They got turned on. We're going to bring this to a simmer. Okay, I'm gonna move this out of the way now. And I gotta add one more cup of water to my liquid here. Clean my mess here. I'm gonna move this to the side over here again. And we wanna keep stirring this. We don't want to burn. So we're gonna simmer this for about 10 minutes. Once it starts to get warm, we're gonna take it out, and it's gonna feel like little starts to get chunky. It's really foamy, but that's normal. It should get warm and nice real quick. You want to let it go for about 10 minutes, and we're going fine. Otherwise, you can get like a regular counter and put one of this like napkin or like a towel, kitchen towel, or there's even some cheesecloth to kind of, strain it really fine. But since I have my China cap, I'm gonna use this, and you might have to press it down through, because there's gonna be like a lot of like fine puree there. It's gonna kind of block the liquid from going down. Some is gonna go down by gravity, but some is gonna have to be pushed through with a ladle. If you wanna, use a cheesecloth, you might wanna let the milk cool off because you might have to squeeze it with your hands. You wanna make sure you get all the liquid out of the puree from the beans, so it's just one of those things that you kind of have to do. And I already made some milk ahead of time, so that way we don't waste any time. I made a couple batches at home last night. I have it ready here so we can start, making the tofu, because like I said, it's a two-step process. First you gotta make the milk, and then you gotta, make the tofu. And there's a couple of things you can use to, like, as a thickening agent for your tofu. One is Epsom salt, which is magnesium sulfate. This is the same thing you buy at the pharmacy, to soak your hands when you have like a sprain or your feet. And also there's another thing that works really well. It's magnesium chloride. You find this at a vitamin shop. Those are like, you can take this as dietary supplement in little white tablets. And you can make like a cornstarch slurry. You want to, for this recipe, the 2 quarts of milk, I use about 20 grams, which is about 4 teaspoons of powder. This is like a white tablet. It looks like this, and it works nice. It's a coagulating agent for the tofu. So I have some already, dissolved in some water here. It's like a little cornstarch slurry that we use to thicken up soups. The same thing. So I have it done ahead of time. Make sure you crush them. Before you put them in the liquid, it works better. They dissolve much better. So this is what I'm going to use today. And now we got to go back to it's warming up. And this is normal. The foaming is normal. So there's a lot of liquid underneath. You want to keep stirring around. You don't want it to burn in the bottom. So make sure you kind of use a wooden spoon to stir the milk around. Same thing as making cheese. Now once we have this milk already strained, we're going to put it back into the heater and warm it up to 180, and then we're going to add our slurry here from our magnesium chloride tablets. That's going to thicken up the milk. It's pretty much the same process as making ricotta cheese. I'm sure you guys remember when I made ricotta cheese, but I use lemon juice to thicken up, or vinegar as well. It's an acid. And this is getting warm already. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions you guys might have. As you all know, tofu has a great source of protein. You know that soybeans are used for so many different things now. It's like a meat substitute. There's like so many different products out there that uses the soybeans. And these soybeans go back thousands of years from the Han Dynasty in China. That's where they once began processing these beans and making tofu like this thousands of years ago. And it's up to date. So we still use it. It's a great source of protein. Once it starts to steam, we're gonna take it off the fire, and the flame or the heat here. I don't have a flame; it's an electric stove. But then we're going to strain this to my china cap. And this is really fine colander. I'm not going to put any cheesecloth in there. I'm just going to use the china cap by itself. It's pretty fine. But again, if you don't have one of those at home, you can use a napkin or a cheesecloth. About 4 layers of cheesecloth. That way you get nice and strain the milk really good. Take all the solids out of there. Okay. Okay, we have a question here. The question was, is there something you can substitute for the salt? If you mean the Epsom salt, yeah, you don't have to use Epsom salt. I'm not going to use today. I'm just showing to you that you can use this thickening agent. I'm using magnesium chloride tablets today as a thickening agent. So you don't have to use Epsom salt. This works actually better, the tablets. You can find this, say you buy them in the store, buy them in the shop. This is where I find them, the health food store too. You can find those tablets. So you don't have to use the Epsom salt if you don't want. Okay, this is getting ready. It's nice and hot now. If you want to let it cool off a little bit before you strain it, that's fine. But you know, it works better when it's hot because it's very liquidy, and that way it goes down easy. So if you don't want to, it's up to you. But you know, maybe if you need to squeeze it by hand, you might want to let it, you know, cool off a little bit. That way you don't, you know, get burned. But since I have my China cap, I'm gonna press it down with a ladle. I'm gonna try to squeeze all the liquid from the solids. Okay, I'm going to take it out of the heat now. Okay. And I'm going to show you what it looks like, you know. I'm going to use my little bowl here. Okay. And it goes really easy. You're gonna see that it's like, even though seems there's nothing in this liquid, but actually when you strain it, there's gonna be a lot of stuff left behind. As you can see right here. Okay. I'm gonna start to push it down. I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's really fine. And it works better when you use a blender. You're going to see a real fine, you know, residue left. Solids, but it looks a little yellowish. As you can see. This is the soy milk. And what's left behind here is all the solids from the beans. And you want to try to squeeze as much as you can. And as you can see here, this was left behind. It's a real fine, like powder-like mixture from the beans. And now we can, you know, throw this away. We don't need this. And now I already have some milk made ahead of time. Like I said, that way we don't waste too much time straining all this milk. But I'm gonna show you what it looks like once it's done. I got my milk over here. This is cold now. I made it, you know, ahead of time. So we're gonna bring this up to 180. It's like that way we'll make our cheese, our tofu, which is pretty much, you know, coagulating, you know, the proteins and the soy. So we're gonna do this by heating it back up to 180. And be careful, you don't want to get it too hot, because at 180 we want to take it out of the heat and add our like slurry over here that we have from the magnesium chloride tablets. Okay. It's like adding cornstarch when you make you know, your sauce is the same way. So we're gonna be careful to take the temperature of this. Okay. We're gonna, and this is like soy milk. This is the same stuff that you will buy at the store. Look, it looks, you know, exactly the same. It's got no additives. So it's just pure milk. I made it this morning with some the same batch of beans I got over here. So this is cool, you know, overnight. I'm sorry I made it last night, but you know, it's nice and cold now. Left it in the refrigerator. Make sure you refrigerate it. Then you can, you know, make your tofu the following day. And you're gonna see once we start adding this slurry, it's gonna start to, you know, like separate. It's gonna coagulate. It's gonna curl, like making, you know, cheese. In reality, this is very easy to make. It's not really that complicated. As you can see, you know, there's only a few steps that you do, but you know, if you want to try to do this, you know, it's nice to know how to do this kind of things. That way, when you go and some of you that are vegetarians, you know, that, you know, eat tofu, you might try to make it yourself at home instead of, you know, buying it already made. Because some of those might have some, you know, preservatives already added to the tofu, but this way, you know, that's, you know, pretty natural. We have another question by one of our students.
I want to know at what point would you take it off the heat before straining?
Okay, at what point, the question was, at what point we take it off the heat before straining it? Well, this is about 5-6 minutes. You want to kind of let it warm up to that point, then we take it off. So you don't want to kind of let it there and boil for too long either. And now when we make the cheese, or the tofu, I should say, I keep saying cheese because, you know, it's pretty much the same process. We want to warm it up to 180, you know. And once we get reach 180, we want to turn the heat off, and then we're going to add slurry, so it starts, you know, the coagulating process. We gotta go a few more minutes here. Make sure they won't get it too warm. So make sure you stick your thermometer in there and keep an eye at the soy milk. And once we have this tofu coagulate, then you might want to use a cheesecloth, or if you got a tofu press, you know, with just a little wood frame that you use to like squeeze all the liquid out, it's great too. But if you don't have one, you can use a strainer. Just put some cheesecloth first. That way you can are able to squeeze all the liquid out of there and form it to whatever little, you know, square. You also want to put some, if you have like a little perforated pan, put some weights on top overnight, so you drain all the liquid out. You squeeze all the liquid out of the tofu. Let's check the temperature again. It's getting there. It's about 120 right now, so we got a few more minutes to go before it gets, you know, 180. But this electric induction heat works really good. But again, you want to make sure you keep stirring this. You don't want to burn it to the bottom of the pot. As you can see, the milk's got like a little grayish color. It's not like white like normal cow's milk is, but it's got a little grayish color. But that's normal. That's how it should look. And it's getting there really quick, so be careful. You don't want to walk away when you're doing this. You want to, you know, keep an eye. And don't leave it just sitting there, because if you get too hot, it might not work. And once you strain the tofu from here, you want to save some of the liquid. That way you can put it back in there once you have it formed. That way you can kind of keep it for a few days in the refrigerator. It's not going to, you know, dry it up. Because when you buy tofu, you can see it comes in a little container with some liquid. That's what's left from here. So you want to save some of that. You don't want to, you know, discard all the liquid that's left from the soy milk. Okay, we're almost there. It's got 5 more degrees to go, and then we're gonna, shut it off and add this slurry that I have already made up, so it, starts to coagulate. Okay, my milk is now at 180, so I'm going to shut it off, and I'm going to start adding this slurry. As you can see, it starts to curl right away, which is great. It's a good sign. Just like making ricotta cheese, the same way, see? Start to separate, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. You can feel it settle to the bottom. You can, starts to kind of stick to the bottom of the pot, so you want to kind of use your wooden spoon. Okay, as you can see, it's coagulated. It's really fine curls. Okay, so I'm going to take it off the flame here. As you can see, it's separating right now. This is what it's supposed to do, which is great. At this point, we want to strain this. So I'm going to line my china cap with some cheesecloth this time. That way I'm able to pull it out and squeeze all the liquid out when it cools down. Okay, I'm going to rinse this off again. Back here. I think I'm just gonna go without using some cheesecloths if it works real quick. I'm gonna see my lathe over here. As you can see, it works good. I don't have to use the cheesecloth for this, so my strainer's fine enough to catch this coagulated tofu here. And this, you want to let it go down by itself. You don't want to push it through because you might want to, squeeze some of that tofu through this strainer. So you want to kind of let it drain by itself at this point. And it might take a little while. And again, if you want to use the cheesecloth, it's great too. As you can see, the liquid is nice and clear. It comes out the bottom, a little yellowish. And once you drain all the liquid, you're able to press this into a shape. You might do like a little square, or if you want to put it into a perforated pan with some weights on top, wrap it in cheesecloth. As you can see, this liquid's a little more clear now. And all the solids are left behind on top. And it's got a little grayish color to it. It's not, white. So that's what tofu should be. Okay. I just want to squeeze as much liquid as possible so I can show you what it looks like. I'm going to use my ladle here. Apply a little pressure. And for those of you that are like vegetarians, you know, you might want to try this. It's something, you know, if you learn, it's great to know this kind of things. You may never need it, but you know what? It's always nice to know something else to how it's done. At least how it's done. You might, you know, buy already made up because it might seem there's a lot of trouble to make it. But again, if you want to try to make it homemade, it's, you know, one more thing that, you know, you might know how to do it, which is great. Okay. I'm going to squeeze as much liquid as possible. And you know, this doesn't have a lot of taste, a lot of flavor, but you know, you can always add something else to make it with. You can, you know, marinate this tofu once it's formed, and I'm gonna take this out of the way here to show you what it looks like. I'm gonna rinse a little bowl over here real quick. Okay. We have another question here. The question was, can you add flavor while it's being cooked? Well, that's one of those things. If you add something else, it might not work the coagulating process. So you want to be careful when you do that. Some things might kind of alter the chemical balance, and it might not work. So it's better to like kind of make it, and then you add the flavor once it's done, like this. And as you can see, this it looks like ricotta cheese with a little different color, though. But you know, again, this is what it looks like when it's done. It's soft, little grayish looking. It's warm right now, but once you cool it off and you like put it into a press, it's gonna look really nice and smooth. And again, you can put in some cheesecloth and press it down with some weights. Put a perforated pan underneath. Put the tofu and put some more like jars of something on top, and kind of press it down overnight in the refrigerator. Then you're gonna have some nice, you know, tofu next day. This is what it looks like, you know, when it's done. But like I said, now it's like it's not pressed together, but once you do it, it's going to look nice, and you might make a little square or whatever shape you want, but make sure you do that to take all the liquid out of it. And this is how you do tofu. So if you guys have any more questions before we wrap this up, let me know. And I just want to thank you for being here this morning. And I know it wasn't that interesting. I wasn't doing much cooking, but again, it's something that I think you guys should know how to do this, and it's not that complicated like some people might think. So now you saw the process, and it's really simple, and it's really quick. So I wanted you guys maybe to try one of these days at home, especially those of you that are vegetarians that, you know, like to try different things. It might be something that could be fun for you guys to do at home. I want to thank you for being here this morning, and I'll see you next week. With I think we're making some chorizo sausage next week. It's going to be fun, so it's going to smell really nice around here next week. Thank you, and have a nice day again.